Hi everyone, Namaste, it's Gigi. I wanted to finish the three videos. I made a part one and part two, and it's about relationship issues and astrology. And so will be the conclusion, and then I'll talk about something else. I was talking on the last two videos about the shadow side of Jupiter. Okay, so Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion and teaching, it does represent the teacher. I don't know if I mentioned it in other videos. I hope I did. It's also the position 9. It's a 9 sign of the zodiac belt. Okay, so it has all this spiritual connotation. Okay. Also, it represents religious establishment and things like that. Travel, foreign travel. That is Jupiter in Sagittarius. So the shadow side, and by the way, shadow side, everybody has a shadow side. Some people are better at hiding than others. Everybody has. I don't care what anybody says. You know, people that would tell you, well, me, this and that, and they just don't, they're not able to see themselves, their failure, their weaknesses. You know, that says a lot about someone. Okay, but in other events, so yes, for Jupiter, for all this representation of Jupiter, Jupiter has a shadow side, and the side just before, after, no, that's true, before, the sign before Jupiter is Scorpio, which is the sign of, it's the 8th house, is the deep transformation, it's the sign of, sex, occult, magical rituals, magical conscious level. It's a house of birth, the house of death, but it's also the house of secrets. Okay, Scorpio is the sign before Sagittarius, and it's the 12th house. The 12th house is the blind spot that we don't see, right? As I was telling you guys, the first house is always the first sign that we are born to. So in your moon sign or sun sign, ascendant sign, you have an ascendant, you have a 12th house, 3rd house, you have all the placement of your planets. And again, if you want to know more in detail, I really recommend you go to ASTRO.com and check that out. So Scorpio is the 12th house of Sagittarius. Scorpio knows the secrets. So Scorpio looks at Sagittarius. Okay, Scorpio goes up and down and up and down. And the sign of the Scorpio, you'll see like the arrows, it ends with like this, right? It's by going up, okay? And, you know, one of the totem of the symbols of the scorpion is the eagle, where it flies above everything, okay? It sees everything, but mostly his spiritual inclination is different than the first totem, which is the Scorpio animal, okay? Or insect, okay? Where it stings, little stingers. And so this transformation, this house of transformation, which is Scorpio, which is up and down and up and down, through it all, through this constant change, movement, deception, or sudden magical abundance of grace and power or knowledge, whatever we gain, there's a sense of us, you know, to gain something, you have to go through such a pain, you know. In order to transform, something have to die, you know, to be reborn, to change your identity, you have to let something go. And Scorpio knows that better than nobody else. Okay, so that's why Scorpio is very content in the letting go process, because it's looking forward for something better. Until they realize maybe that it's the ego, and it says, well, okay, well then, you know what? I may not be always looking for something better. Maybe someone or something, maybe whatever I'm looking for is higher than myself. Then it becomes the ego. And hence, we go to the next house, which is Jupiter, okay? Which is Sagittarius, okay? Where Sagittarius, it's much more inclined into belief, okay? Like, you know, the belief may not be traditional, okay? They may not necessarily be religious, you know, because the thing with the sign with Sagittarius, it could have some type of, it could be dogmatic as a sign, as is like it has belief that doesn't actually apply in its own life, or it has a vision that it adores or reflect on, but is not capable to actively pursue it in its life. There's some amount of contradiction, right? And the same thing with religion, right? Oh yes, we do this, and I love everybody, and everybody peaceful, but in the back, I talk behind people's back. I tell people other people's secrets. I just say vile thing, you know, but in front, I want to maintain this. But the thing is every other sign, almost every, I would say, I recognize the shadow side. And like I said, Scorpio more than anybody, that's why Scorpio is fearless. There's some people say Scorpio, the sign doesn't have fear. It's because I've seen the thing that closely where you see the personality. It's not just the people, but the things in life, just that it's never what it seems, right? So, but there's a detriment to this vision of Scorpio, but this is not the reason of the video. So I'll stick with Jupiter and Sagittarius and the shadow side of this sign. And the relation that it has, or the influence that it has in intimate relationships. So I was telling you before that Jupiter, when it's on its own sign, happens once every 12 years, right? Because it stays 1 year to each zodiac sign, the 12 zodiac signs. Sorry, once 1 year in each zodiac sign. So it takes 12 years to have a Jupiter return. And a Jupiter, when you have a great Jupiter, let me tell you, in your birth chart, your life is different than a lot of people, because Jupiter graces you with smile and happiness, good food, good diet habit, good physical body, because it makes, especially if Jupiter conjunct your sun, it makes you strong physically, where you're able to bounce back. And sometimes you may have also, like, athletic disposition. And that's just not when Jupiter is in Sagittarius, understanding. You could be born with Jupiter in Gemini, and your sun sign is Gemini, so you have Jupiter aspecting your sun, which is the same thing if it would be like on, the description I'm giving. So, but you may not. You may be Gemini, but your Jupiter was in Sagittarius when you were born. Okay, but one of the interesting thing about astrology that we don't talk as much as I think we should is the aspect of the planets, which is very important because it translates to the behavior that it has on people. So yes, Jupiter is in Sagittarius until, I would say, December. I wouldn't be able to say the date specifically, but until December 2019. And it's in home house. It's at home. Okay. So it has three aspects. It aspect the first house, which is where it sits in Sagittarius. It aspect the fifth house from where it's looking, right? So it look at the fifth house from itself, which is currently Aries, right? Because, Aries is fifth sign away from Sagittarius, and that's Sagittarius, Jupiter has its aspect. It's three aspects, okay? So the first one, it's itself. The second one is the fifth house from itself, which is in Aries. And the last one is the ninth house from itself. Okay, and it's its aspect. So the ninth house from Sagittarius, it's Leo. Okay, so Leo has an aspect. Okay, so those three aspects, what do they represent? Currently, those are the signs that are being aspected. Not just your sun, as if you are sun in Aries or sun in Leo, but you could have a Venus in Leo, or you could have also your moon in Aries. And the aspect of Jupiter will influence this, your your behavior in your relationship through the transit. And that again, you can know that by looking at your birth chart. And I recommend to go to astro.com, and you need to know your place, time of birth, date of birth, yes. Okay, and with that, you will be able to see each planet, because all the planets were located in different location when we were born, okay? And so that translates to some type of event in our lives, okay? So the knowledge of astrology allows us to understand mostly our past and our current life karma, right? Because in astrology, especially in Vedic astrology, there's this acknowledgement of karma, as this karmic reason of us being in this never-ending cycle of life and rebirth, or life and death. But what we want to do, okay, is to attain moksha, which is ultimately liberation from this never-ending cycle of life and death. So with Jupiter being in Sagittarius and aspecting Aries, so it aspects Sagittarius first, it aspects Aries, and then it aspects Leo. And the reason why I was talking about this shadow effect of the shadow side of Jupiter is when it aspected, now it's no longer, interestingly enough, it's 0 degree in Taurus. So Venus I was talking about is no longer being aspected, but Venus has been aspected by Jupiter for the last 2 months. And this Venus was in Aries. And Venus is not really happy in Aries, because the home placement of Venus, the planet of love and luxury, is in Taurus and Libra. Okay, and this planet is exalted where it finds the best pleasure of life in Pisces. But when it's in Aries, which is the first sign of astrology, of the zodiac belt, I should say, it's not happy. Venus is not happy to be there. There's issues in relationships where, there's possibly, because Venus in Aries is so young. It takes a certain amount of maturity to understand the principles of relationship, love, sharing, and mutual attraction, okay? In Venus in Aries, she's very physical. And it goes, and that's how she understands love, because Venus in Aries is controlled by Mars, okay? Because when a planet sits in the house, it has this influence. As I was telling you earlier, planet could be located in different houses depending on your time, place of birth. And time, location, yes, place of birth, which is the same thing as location. Okay, so what happened the last few months, and the impact that it could have had in different groups I was mentioning earlier, is because this Venus in Aries was aspected by Jupiter. And Jupiter was expecting Venus in Aries, and that is a great aspect. The first aspect of Jupiter is the best one. It's always the first aspect from where Jupiter sits. Jupiter currently sits in Sagittarius, and the best aspect in all the 3 aspects, it's a first. And right now it's aspecting Aries. So Aries needs help right now because there's this strong square from Saturn, very, very strong issues with Aries. Strong square from Saturn and Pluto, it's in Capricorn. So that's kind of difficult issues with authority or something that has to do with money and freedom. There's a lot of restrictions. So somehow maybe there have been some release or some agreement, because Jupiter for Aries represent laws, and higher learning, the father, or maybe foreign travel, publishing, law. So with Jupiter aspecting Aries, some of them could be more hopeful of a positive outcome to an issue, Okay, I'm gonna have to pause this video because I want to make sure I upload this, and I'm gonna make another part. See you soon, guys. Kisses. I love you.